Chapter 9 Tiny Drops. FinGoal. Noun. Abbreviation for financial goal. A definite financial goal to be reached within a set time. Use. When Busola reached her FinGoal, she joined another savings circle. Were you raised by traditional parents? Those who kept reminding you of your culture and language and telling you to never get colonized? My mom was one. She always reminded me to speak and write in my mother tongue. In fact, I was so good at speaking Yoruba that I represented my secondary school in a Yoruba debate. We not only came first, we also led the school that came second by 33%. I scored 98% in my SS3 mock exams until tomorrow. I can't explain how I had a B2 in Yoruba because everyone was sure I would have an A1. My mom taught us many slangs, idioms, proverbs, and other cultural elements. In fact, she made us buy a notebook for the sole purpose of learning proverbs and their meanings. While I don't remember many of them again, a few have stuck with me, including this one. Isun tere tere ni dibu, which translates to the English proverb, little drops of water make an ocean. You see, before I started my life as Okwe from Cowrywise, I had an idea of what savings was. For instance, in secondary school, my mom never gave us money for extras like class hangouts, field trips, and other activities. The first time my sibling asked her for field trip money, her response was another proverb. Which translates to, you don't use all your fingers to eat. Or in this context, you don't spend all you earn. All the pocket money I give you, have you spent it all? She asked my sister, who could not meet her gaze. Then there is no field trip for you. My sister could not counter her. Mother was right. We should have been saving some of our pocket money. You just imagine that I'm your cash machine, always here to dole out money. What if you need money urgently and I'm not here, eh? My sister did not go for the field trip. And that was how my mother used one stone to kill two birds. The first bird, we got our lesson on emergency funds. Of course, I did not know that it was called emergency funds at the time. That was how my mom's pep talk inspired us to start saving. The second bird, we actually started saving. Of course, the best way to learn is by doing. She not only taught us, we also began to practice. We started saving. The first thing I saved for was a new school bag. I was using an old bag that made this clicking noise when I dragged the zip. It was what one of my colleagues today calls a show of shame. I sometimes had to pull out all my notebooks at once after I got to class so that my bag won't make any noise when a teacher was in class. Embarrassing, yes? A bag is a want, not a need, my mom said when I asked her about buying a new bag. That was when I realized the bag was my baggage to carry alone. Literally. I started my journey out of this predicament by saving 50 naira out of the 100 naira I took to school every day. Don't look at me like that. 100 naira had some value then. It could comfortably buy you a loaf of bread and a bottle of drink. This also meant that I had to deny myself some goodies. It was not the best choice at the moment as I watched other children stick their lollipops in their mouth or listen to cracking sounds as they opened biscuit nylons. Every day, I saved in Ikolo for 2 months. I also added any extra income I made from helping my classmates write their notes, draw diagrams, or any other task. Or whenever any uncle or auntie came visiting and handed us some money as gifts. The goal was to get a new bag, and I was fully focused on it. My world paused the day I broke my kolo. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon, and the rays of the sun peered through the curtain. I locked the front door and counted a lot of 50, 100, and 200 naira notes. By the time I was done, I had 4,000 naira. Straightening out the money and arranging the notes in files according to their denominations gave me pure joy. At the end of the exercise, I realized that saving at least 50 naira consistently for over 60 days paid off. Not only did I buy a new bag with leather straps, a shiny zip, and a back pocket, I also got a wristwatch and a new storybook. You can imagine my joy and my classmates' surprise when I strolled into the class, beaming with pride and confidence the following Monday. I was ecstatic. People started whispering, and everyone wanted to touch my bag. At that moment, I understood the power of saving. I enjoyed the reward of stacking money somewhere solely to achieve a goal. Why should we save? Whether it's your house rent, your new MacBook, an evening pizza treat, or a trip to Dubai, a unifying factor to saving for a project is the satisfaction that comes when you hit your target. According to the American Psychology Association, the body secretes a hormone called dopamine, which is also the excitement hormone, after you hit a major financial milestone, and this can be achieved through savings. So, you really want to start saving but are not quite sure of how to start. Here are some hacks that have helped me crack my savings goals. First hack. I try to create a perfect picture of why I'm saving. Either it's for a new phone whose picture is already in my gallery, or a new shoe. I always create a vivid picture of why I'm saving and what I want to achieve with it. I try to imagine how what I'll be able to achieve with the goal will change my life. For instance, with a new phone, I'm likely able to take more high-quality pictures, which will make my work easier. Second hack, I make sure I do not have access to the funds. If you save through an avenue that you can easily access, you will always find a reason to dip your hands into the funds. For instance, if I could easily open my Kolo, I would never have bought that school bag. Cowrywise has locked savings plans, which are my favorite kind of savings. Kolo or a locked plan, it is very important to ensure that access to funds is hard. Third hack, have an emergency plan. You might wonder how emergency savings correlates with saving for a project. But when you have an emergency plan, you don't think about dipping your hands into your savings. You get it? Setting money aside takes a lot of discipline, but it comes with exciting rewards. If you've saved up recently for something exciting, I'm sure you get what I mean. You're likely nodding in agreement, Abby, and that's enough for me. You have seen how tiny drops become an ocean that not only quenches your thirst, but gives you pure joy. Yours in savings. Okpe.